champions of baseball.
Okay, well, that was a nice little win at home at MSG Brooklyn last night. The Knicks bounced back after a tough game in Orlando, and they win. They beat those unrecognizable players from Brooklyn in front of all six, seven of their Brooklyn rodents. So that was fun. It was too close of a first half, I should say. I was anxious. I was annoyed. I wasn't enjoying myself because I felt like this Knicks team should have just put the foot on the pedal, and right away it should have been a pulverization, if that's even a word. But the shots weren't falling early. There was some bad spacing a little later in the first half. Some bad turnovers, getting killed in the hustle game early on. I just felt like there was very little of attentiveness, giving up on some possessions. They were beat on the offensive glass a little bit, and you had a couple of lazy turnover from Clarkson, who had a tough game with the over dribbling. Some bad stuff early on, but the Knicks figure it out, and they finish strong in the second half. And under the radar, 27 points from Jalen Brunson, which will probably not even get talked about because in this episode we're going to focus in on the other guy. It was also a great Josh Hart game in his first start because of all the pathetic injuries. And now we have to worry about some more because what's going to happen with Cat. Hopefully he's okay at the end of that game. He took a little bit of a fall. Cat being dramatic maybe, but we'll see. But it was a good Josh Hart game. I loved what I saw from Josh Hart in his start over Mitchell Robinson, who missed this one with an illness. Hart was finally elite on the defensive side, stunting, staying attached, reading the ball very well. Offensively, he was taking advantage of ghost coverages, taking the open looks from three. I thought he did some good things off ball to exploit those coverages. Deuce McBride wasn't knocking down his shots, but I thought he played excellent defense. Mikal Bridges, we will dive into some of his game, and this one has another efficient performance. Up and down, there were some good performances. Hell of a game, though, for Karl Anthony Towns. Maybe his best game of the season and maybe top 10 as a Knick in the regular season. It was an excellent game. And that's why this episode will start and finish with probably Karl Anthony Towns. It's going to be a very Cat-centric episode because I feel like he deserves that. He had himself a good game. So right off the bat here, we are going to tip our cap. That's what we do for the Yankees. We're going to hand the Bing Bong game ball to Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns last night, his final line, 37 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, just 1 turnover, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He played some excellent defense in this game. 14 for 20 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, 11 of 16 from 2, and a lot of that was in the restricted area, and 6 out of 6 at the foul line, making him all a plus 25 in the box score last night across his 33 minutes of play. So that is about as efficient as you could want one to be. And I think the best takeaway from Towns' performance, or the biggest takeaway from that performance, was how good Cat looked in two-man action. Whether it was with Jalen Brunson or whether it was with Tyler Kolek. in two kind of different ways. Kolek was kind of just spamming Towns' actions every time he got a chance to play with him. And Brunson, it was more, took the opportunities. But I still like what I saw from both of them when they were in action with Cat. And again, it goes back to the biggest key point of this whole thing. First of all, Brooklyn doesn't really have anybody to guard Cat with, but the key continues to be keeping the big on Cat. That's the key to all of this. It's going to unlock the spacing, which will unlock Cat. Cat dominates centers, but when the big's on Cat, everybody else gets open opportunities. Cat dominates bigs from the top. Keeping the big on him is the key to this whole thing, having him play the 5. But I thought that was especially unnoticed last night with Jalen Brunson and him. I thought Brunson showed really good patience when he was in action with Cat last night. Just very composed and under control when Brooklyn did send a hedge or a blitz on the pick and roll. And Brunson was very patient out of that, which allowed him and Towns to create that space between them. Brooklyn would double the pick and roll. Brunson would kind of wait a second, string it out a little bit, and then he would hit Cat with the space on the closeout. A lot of the time it would be on the pick and pop. Cat's first 3 of the night that he knocked down came at the top of the third quarter. Brunson draws help off the ball screen, reads that, hits Cat on the pop. Cat knocks it down. And I thought Cat on the other end did a really good job of screening in those actions. He would screen and he would rescreen a ton just to get the space. The first basket of the game, you want to talk about rescreening. The first basket of the game for the Knicks, it's a veer action from Brunson to Cat. So Cat sets the ball screen on the left wing for Brunson, who's got ball. Then he relocates down to set a pin down near the baseline. He posts the switch off that screen. I think it's Clowney. And then Brunson makes the entry to Cat, who makes a nice spin finish at the basket. So they were working actions all night. There was a really cool action in the fourth quarter. I'm not brilliant when it comes to X's and O's. I'm not brilliant. So if I'm mislabeling this, I think it was in the fourth quarter. It was a Chicago action or a Zoom action, but you had Hart with the ball on the left wing. Brunson comes off of a Cat pin down at the top of the key to receive the ball. Then he makes a pocket pass to Cat, who then rolls. Cat's on the roll, gets an and one finish past his man. It's a really beautiful play. Again, just spaced out offense, but that 2-man game continues to work. And listen, the Brunson Cat duo is not close to being perfected yet. They still have issues, even when the wing isn't on Cat, with all the switching stuff on those pick and rolls aside, when they're cross matched and the hard stuff. Even that aside, when you have matchups where the big is on Cat, like Claxton was last night, it's like there are still some problems you're going to run into because they're still not totally in sync. A lot of the time you would love for Brunson to hit him more and Cat to be more aggressive on the 3-point line. I do still feel like this season under Mike Brown, I feel like because of some of the lineups he plays and because of the way he runs his offense, it's been better. I feel like the Brunson-Towns pairing has been a lot better. And I actually saw this at Shaq's NBA on Twitter, posted this. The Brunson-Towns pick and pop is already on pace to blow by the amount of 3-point makes that Cat had out of that action last year. Cat this season has 10 3-point makes off those 1-5 Brunson pick and pops. Last season, he knocked down 23s off the pick and pop with Brunson. Again, This season, he's already at 10. So with the amount of games they have left, that's a pace for over 50, at least, just off the top of my head here. So they're on pace to blow past that when they're in the pick and pop. So that's a good sign. But yeah, Cat was also working really well with Tyler Kolek, finding him with a ton of space to drive or to pop because of, exit screens and step screens. You saw a lot of that going on. Towns' first basket of the second quarter came in an action like that three, and just a number of them came that same way where guys were screening for him and he was step up screening. Kolek found him in a Spain pick and roll late in the third quarter, which I like to see stuff like that. I like when the Knicks run Spain. Mikal pops off the back screen. Brooklyn screws up the switch. I think Sharp kind of messes up the switch, so they end up unintentionally blitzing the pick and roll. That forced them to rotate low man help off the weak corner. I think it was Clowney. So Cat establishes position off the roll. He seals the post on the small. Kolek makes the entry to him on the low post there. Cat with an easy finish. Just, again, even Kolek, he might not have the Brunson gravity, but he would draw two when Brooklyn would double the pick and roll, just like Brunson in some possessions. I don't know why Brooklyn is doing that, but he would draw two. Top of the second quarter, it's a Kolek Cat pick and roll. Brooklyn plays two on the drive. Kolek kicks to an open Cat at the top of the key. It's a Towns pump and go finish on the closeout. He was hitting him on the post. He hit him once as a trailer in transition to get him downhill. The guy had himself a night, Towns did, man. And his offensive impact, just continues to be there, even if he's not at his best, right? He's impacting the game so many ways offensively. He continues to improve on his drive and spray game, right? He had some nice ones last night. That's been something that's been a little erratic, or at least it was last year. Did a nice job drawing help on the post, making the read and kicking it out this time. Again, the pump and goes from the top. He had a number of those. Took the open threes. I believe he took 4 threes in the second half. And just did a nice job of surveying off the catch as a playmaking hub. Really good offensive performance, really good defensive performance. And, listen, Towns he's a character. And he's kind of, I don't want to say polarizing in the Knicks fan base, because I feel like polarizing is too harsh. That was like Carmelo Anthony, who was very polarizing. Towns is whatever the tier below polarizing is, I feel. He gets this bad rap for being this negative impact player because of the defense. Like, just look no further than after the Orlando game. Everybody wanted to trade him for AD. But the offensive impact is so insanely positive, it makes him worth it. And right now, the defensive stuff, again, I don't even feel like he's been that bad defensively this year. That's louder when his shots aren't falling consistently. And I think the defensive concerns are more about Towns with Brunson as a collective pairing defensively, as opposed to just his standalone defense. But his offense is so impactful that he's not even knocking down shots consistently this year yet. And he's already a career high +7 ± per game, which, if you don't know what that is, I don't know where you've been, but it's the equivalent to the Knicks outscoring their opponent by 7 every time he steps on the floor. That's with him not having a good shooting year. He's got a career low in effective field goal percentage by 4.5%, lower than his next lowest. So it's the free throw game has been great for him, but it's the 58% at the basket that's not good. It's a 23% on the mid-range area, which is not him. And it's the 34% on the three-point line, which is not him, right? This is a guy who's damn near 50-40, or he is 50-40 every year. But with all of that, he's still a net positive this season because just his gravity, right? And when people like the older school fans want to complain about Towns shooting those 30-footers and, oh, put him on the post, let him, first of all, it's not the 90s. But his ability, Towns' ability to space out from 30 plus feet away, which everybody hates, forces the defense to respect him throughout the game from there. And then they are now playing up. And when they do that, that expands the driving lanes for his teammates, for Mikal, for Brunson, for, everybody else. So once that shot does start falling consistently, and once it does, people are going to stop complaining, watch. And it will start to fall consistently because Towns, in the middle of his prime, didn't just suddenly forget how to shoot the ball. Once it starts falling, we're all going to see, and we're in for a treat. Because when he's knocking down his shots, his shot diet, again, it's going to command that much more respect when he's spacing out that far. Once they start to fall, it's going to be double the effect. That will open up those lanes. Again, this is why it is super important to have the big guard Cat, because he's forced to play tight, because Towns has a quick shot. He's a 40% three-point shooter, and that's going to open up opportunities for him to drive the closeout. And it'll also clear out the paint for anybody else who wants to make a back cut. And we know Towns is a very good passer. So it was an excellent game for him. So I just wanted to give some love to him here to start out the show for the first 15 minutes or so. We'll be right back here on episode 932 of the podcast. Talk a little bit more about last night, and then we'll wrap this up. Be right back.
Quick break here, guys. Stay connected with BD4 on social media. Follow us on Instagram and X at BD4Pod, and find us on Facebook by searching BD4. Don't miss out. Join the conversation. Want more BD4? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and share with your fellow fans. Don't forget to ring that bell so you're always the first to know when a new video drops. Love BD4 but don't have the time to sit down and watch? Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the show, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick review. It helps us grow and keeps the conversation going.
All right, welcome back to the show. Episode 932 of the podcast. The Knicks bounced back at MSG Brooklyn last night in their home arena away from home. 113 points might not look amazing, but this was a really good offensive game, at least as the game progressed. And you just, by watching the eye test, you love the way the Knicks looked because they're not with OG right now, who's a big part of their spacing. They're not without Landry Shamet right now, who's a big part of their spacing. And Shamet, not just because he can shoot the ball, but because of those cuts that he can make that create space also. OG too, but Shamet has been really good relocating and making those back cuts. Even without them, I thought last night the Knicks were very, very, very spaced out. For the most part, and good things happen for everybody when the Knicks are spaced out like that. You had a lot of possessions with a lot of guys who were in action together. Like there was a Yabu Clarkson connection that I was like, whoa. It was a really nice assist Yabu made to Clarkson for a floater because the Knicks were spaced out. Yabu comes off DHO with Brunson. He finds Clarkson off of a 45 cut, makes the pocket pass. Clarkson gets a floater in the middle of the lane, But we talk spacing and we talk, when the Knicks run their motion offense. I think there's nobody who's been more of a benefactor than Mikal Bridges. He is thriving in this off-ball motion offense role under Mike Brown because it's based on read and react, right? It gets him attacking from the wings. It gets his momentum coming to the ball, right? He's getting downhill this way, going toward the screen, toward DHO. It's not a ton of initiating through pick and roll up top, less ball handling. The system is helping Mikal. It's helping Brunson get off ball looks this way. Late in the first quarter, the Knicks have a slob action. It's a get 45 off of a rip screen. Brunson makes the pass to Huck Porty at the top of the key off the inbound. Clarkson then makes a weak side 45 cut to clear out any help. Brunson then retrieves the ball back in DHO, rejects the Huck Porty pick and roll on the rescreen, pulls up for a jumper. It's good. Just getting to the ball without having to create space on the ball. Earlier in the first quarter, you rewind a couple of minutes, Mikal Bridges thriving off the ball with opportunities. There was a possession where, and when Mikal comes to the ball, sprinting like he can, it gives himself opportunities because he's either the defense around him has to focus on him, but you got guys like Brunson spaced out on the weak corner. It's going to give you options, right? Either finish off the open drive or hit Brunson with a spray and catch and shoot, where Brunson's elite, right? And there was a possession earlier in the first. Mikal comes off DHO from Yabu. Clowney gets caught behind. Mikal takes 2 dribbles, gets to the restricted area for a spray, kicks to Brunson on that weak corner. Brunson knocks down the 3. So a really good performance. When you look at it overall for Mikal, 16 points, 4 assists. Didn't feel like that at points in the game because I would say my only complaint about the Mikal Bridges stuff sometimes is and I like that he's embracing the spray style the Knicks are playing, right? Get the paint touch and spray it for those threes. But I also feel like he needs to be more assertive on drives too, because this was a problem with him last year. He can't be afraid of contact. And we know he kind of can be, whatever the opposite of physical is, soft, I guess you could say. From what we see sometimes when he's at the point of attack, defending, he's kind of similar offensively where he just shies away from contact. And when he's driving, he'll kick out, or sometimes he'll refuse to throw it down for a dunk. He doesn't draw a ton of contact. We know about the free throw shooting. Doesn't get a lot of those. But even last night, he was, again, you love that he's embracing those sprays. But I think that'd be my only nitpick. But still, another efficient performance from Mikal, who's having a 50-40 season so far. Great for him. I want to talk a little about Tyler Kolek, man, because I think you look at the second unit and he was the best one out there. I know the numbers say Clarkson was better, but Clarkson did not have a good game despite the 16 points. He was 6 for 12, 0 for 6 on 3, 6 for 6 on 2. Doing a lot of dribbling, again, some bad turnovers. I loved Kolek's game. It's Kolek's first game ball of the season. Again, the numbers, nothing special. 2 points, 3 rebounds, but he did have 5 assists to no turnovers. Was a +6 in 17 minutes. So definitely his best minutes of the season. Making some excellent passes, as we noted. Just developing a really good chemistry with Karl Anthony Towns. And, some of those lineups he was in, the 3-guard lineups were working last night. I'm still a little bit iffy on how his NBA career will pan out because, you can't really play him in those lineups against good teams, because he's very unathletic and very small. So he can't do the point guard stuff. He's obviously not a switchable player. Doesn't have a floater game. You kind of need a floater game, which is crucial for a point guard in today's NBA. The pull-up shot, we haven't seen that come around yet. We really haven't seen any of it this year. So you want to see a little more in some of the more important categories. He's an elite passer. He's definitely an elite passer, elite, elite passer. But I don't want to start getting into Frank Ntilikina territory where we're talking about him like Frank, where it's like, oh, look, he scored a couple points, had some assists. He's a high impact player. And then he ends up, wherever Frank ends up. I don't even know where Frank is now. But I thought it was his best game of the year. He had a good performance. Some of the other rookies, Diawara, some good moments. Hukporty, not great. It's kind of unfortunate how he looks, but it was Kolek's night. So a good performance from Kolek, his first game ball. And that, I think, is it from this game. Again, 113-100 Knicks over the Nets. The nice win to move forward and hopefully start a winning streak because this team has been anything but consistent to start the year at just 10-6. So it's got to get better. Hopefully tomorrow. They've got Charlotte tomorrow. It's the last game of this road stand. It's a cup game. They're still in group play, I believe. So Charlotte is a terrible team, but LaMelo Ball is about as tough a playmaker to guard as it gets. Really dynamic point guard. So I modeled my 2K Maya player off of him. So, yeah. So I appreciate you all for tuning in. And I think we should wrap this one up now with our trivia, and that will be it. So let's get to our trivia question that I'm going to pull up on my notes here so I can read it. All right. In the Nets' entire franchise history, how many times have the Knicks and Nets faced each other in a playoff series? Pretty sure we've asked this question before. In the Nets' entire franchise history, how many times have the Knicks and Nets faced each other in a playoff series? Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. That's it. I appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you later. I'll see you after tomorrow's game. If for whatever reason I don't, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you after that. But I will see you tomorrow after the Knicks play the Hornets. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Go Knicks. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.